Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Oh. I'm sorry. I didn't bring my copy of the English translation. Yeah. Lack of mindfulness. Okay. Okay, we've been explaining the Ratana Sutta of the Sutta Nipata, and the purpose of this sutta is to expound, to analyze the qualities, the virtuous qualities of the three jewels, the sacred objects of devotion in Buddhism, the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. And this discourse serves the purpose of generating the spiritual power of blessings by calling to mind the virtuous qualities of the three jewels, and then drawing these virtuous qualities by reflecting upon the qualities of the three jewels. One draws their spiritual power into one's own mind, and then by reciting them, one is able to bestow blessings upon others, blessings which will ward off danger and which will give safety and good fortune. And so we've gone through verses up to through number 10, and these verses have covered, explained the virtuous qualities, first of the Buddha jewel. The Buddha is called the Tathagata, or in Chinese, Rulai, the one who is thus come or thus gone. Then there comes a pair of verses on the Dhamma jewel, and the Dhamma jewel is considered first under the aspects of Nibbana, the unconditioned, as the ultimate Dhamma jewel, and then the Samadhi, the concentration of the Noble Path, as I call it the effective Dhamma jewel. The Dhamma jewel as the means to the ultimate Dhamma jewel. Then in verses 6 to 10, the verses 6 to 10 expound different qualities of the Sangha. And this is the Aryan Sangha, the community, the spiritual community of the noble ones, those disciples of the Buddha who have followed the path to the level where they have penetrated the truth of the teaching. They have risen up from the level of being ordinary people, worldly people, to become partially enlightened people, that is, as people who are on the path, definitely on the path, irreversibly on the path to the final goal, or else they have become fully liberated people, those who have purified their minds completely of all ignorance and defilements, and thereby have reached the final goal of liberation right here and now. Those are the Arahants. Okay, the verses move first from the complete Sangha jewel, then to the Sangha jewel as composed only of the Arahants. Then it moves to the Sangha jewel as including even the stream enterers. Then it goes a step down to take of the different types of stream enterers, even the most sluggish, the slowest type of stream enterer, who has 7 more births till they reach the end of samsara, even that stream enterer is included within the Sangha jewel. Then in verse 10 explains what happens at the moment of reaching stream entry. There arises this insight or vision into the ultimate truth of the Buddha's teaching. There breaks upon the mind a clear vision of the unconditioned, of Nibbana, and with that seeing of the unconditioned, all Four Noble Truths are simultaneously understood, directly known and understood. With that understanding of the Four Noble Truths, the three fetters, three bonds that keep us bound to the wheel of existence, these fetters are cut off entirely. There are still 7 more fetters to go, but the 3 grossest fetters are now cut off completely. And the rest of the practice is dedicated to wearing away and cutting off the remaining fetters. Together with that breakthrough to the truth of the Dhamma, the person cuts off the possibility of any rebirths in the lower realms. Until one reaches that breakthrough, one can be reborn in hell, the realm of the afflicted spirits, the Preta realm, or in the animal realm. But once one reaches the stage of stream entry, no more rebirth in the lower realms. There are at most 7 more rebirths, either in the human realm or in the divine celestial realms. Okay, now we come to verse 11. This verse will deal somewhat more with the character of a stream enterer. Okay, first I will recite it in Pali. Kinchapi so kamang karoti papakang kayena vacha udachetasava ababo so tassa padi chadaya ababatadita buddha ababatadita pada savuta idampi sange ratanang panitang etena sachena suati hotu. Okay, then we take from the book. I've had to make one change, a little change in the book. The book says, whatever evil deed he commits, either by his body, speech, or thought, he is incapable of concealing it. For it has been said that such an act is impossible for one who has seen the path. That's what the book says. But I think this is a misinterpretation of the word pada, which I would render this as state, and say, for it has been said that such an act is impossible for one who has seen the state, and I'll explain that. This precious jewel is in the Sangha. By this truth, may there be peace, may there be safety, may there be security. Okay, this verse is intended to illuminate certain aspects of the character of the stream enterer. And now, it is said that a stream enterer acquires 4 qualities. These are called the 4 factors of stream entry, the 4 inseparable qualities of a stream enterer. One is that the stream enterer has unshakable confidence in the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. Those are the first 3. The 4th is that the stream enterer he is endowed with those virtues or moral qualities that are dear to the noble ones, and he observes them unbroken, untorn, unblemished, uncompromised. Now, what exactly is meant by this? Sometimes it's taken to mean that a stream enterer is absolutely perfect in moral discipline. But I don't think that's what is meant. I think what this means is that the stream enterer, this is my opinion, as long as he or she is fully aware of being a stream enterer, will conform in his or her behavior to the 5 precepts taught by the Buddha. That is, such a one will not consciously and deliberately take life, kill a living being, will not consciously and deliberately steal the possessions of others, will not consciously, deliberately engage in sexual misconduct, will not consciously and deliberately speak falsehood, will not consciously, deliberately use intoxicants or any other types of intoxicants or any other substances which becloud the mind. But this does not mean, as I understand it, that the stream enterer is absolutely impeccable and perfect in every aspect of moral discipline. There are ways in which the stream enterer can commit what we might regard as minor flaws in moral discipline. I don't quite agree with the use of the word here, evil deed. Evil, the word evil suggests something which is really heavy, really terribly bad. I think we should say rather he might commit a wrong deed by body, speech, and certainly by thought. And so I would think it possible a stream enterer might get angry at somebody and might speak harshly to that person. A stream enterer might, on the spur of the moment, maybe even make a threatening gesture at somebody if he gets angry. Stream enterer can sometimes speak idle words, gossip, many other types of little, very minor type actions which are not quite 100% morally commendable. And then in terms of, and I think this verse might have been originally spoken in relation to the monastic discipline. In terms of the monastic discipline, there are many minor rules laid down by the Buddha, and it's quite possible for a monastic person who is even a stream enterer to commit breaches of those minor monastic rules. The Buddha says that that's not impossible for such a person. But this is what the Buddha says, that when a person who is a stream enterer commits an offense, one of these offenses of a minor type, they won't commit a major offense, but if they commit one of these minor offenses, they will not conceal it from others. But if it's a monk or a nun, they will immediately go to one of their monastic brothers or sisters, usually one who's a senior, and they will confess it to them in order to obtain expiation from that offense. This is a principle that the Buddha laid down when he established the monastic order. There are different classes of monastic offenses. The heaviest type is called the class of defeating offenses or expulsion offenses. If one breaks one of these, one loses one's status as a monk or nun and can never come back into the monastic order. I think it would be, in my view, impossible for a stream enterer who is a monastic to commit one of those offenses. But apart from those, there are many other rules that in a moment of thoughtlessness, lack of mindfulness, a stream enterer might, without deliberation, might commit. And if they commit that offense and then become aware of it, they will not hide it from others. And this indicates an important aspect of our own minds in the unenlightened condition. Like often, if we do something wrong, something foolish, then the first thought, usually, or very often, is, let not others find this out about me. And so we often get into the situation where we put on a beautiful display outwardly, so others are quite impressed and think we are a quite upright, virtuous, outstanding individual, while secretly we might be doing all sorts of improper things. And then we're very hesitant to admit this to others, but we try to defend ourselves. In that way, by defending ourselves, we build up one layer of ego self on top of the layer responsible for the original unwholesome deeds. But one of the beautiful practices within the Buddha's teaching, especially for the monastic order, is this practice of confession as a means of getting expiation or absolution from one's bad deeds. It doesn't mean that if one does something which is unwholesome karma, it doesn't mean that by confessing that one escapes the unwholesome karma. But by making the confession, it clears the mind of the weight created by engaging in that unwholesome conduct, so that the mind becomes again light and free, and one can again renew one's determination to follow the right course, to get back on the right track. And I think also for lay people who are observing 5 precepts, if you break a precept to an extent that that would be considered really significant, I wouldn't say, for example, if your wife gets a new hairstyle, the hairdo, and she asks you, do you like it? You don't like it, but to please her you say, oh, it's lovely, dear. I wouldn't say that you consider that a case of false speech that needs expiation. Or if you tell your husband, I'm going to the monastery today, I'm sure you don't mind. And you really think that he is getting a little upset that you're coming so often. Again, you don't have to consider that to be a case of false speech. But if you do commit some breach of the precept that you really consider to be in some way serious, then to clear your mind of this, we don't have a tradition of lay people confessing to priests, but it's good to either speak about it to another fellow layperson, upasika, or else you can discuss it with a monastic person. And that way it will clear the mind of the weight of that offense. Okay, so when the stream enterer commits some offense of a minor type, then they will confess it at once, as soon as they have the opportunity, to one of their spiritual brothers and sisters. And having done that, then they will make a pledge, a determination to restrain themselves in the future. And then the Buddha says in the verse, he says that such an act, that is the act of concealing oneself, is impossible for one who has seen Ditta Padasavuta, who has seen the state. Here, what's meant by Ditta Padasa is one who has seen the unconditioned state. It's not the path, but one who has seen Amata Padang, the deathless state, the deathless element. That is for one who has seen Nirvana. Okay, now we come to the next verse. This is verse 12. Vanapagumbe yatapusita ge ginhanamase patamasmin ginhe tatupamang dhammavarang adesai Nibbanagaming paramang hitaya idampi buddhe ratanang panitang etena satchena suwati hotu. Okay, here I have to actually retranslate the verse because he makes a few quite serious mistakes. Okay, like a grove of trees with flowering tops in the first heat of summer, just so he taught the excellent Dhamma leading to Nibbana, the supreme good. This precious jewel is in the Buddha. The book says in the Sangha, but that is a real glaring mistake. I think it was just through careless oversight that he put Sangha in there. By this truth, may there be safety. And this verse again takes us back to the Buddha jewel, the first of the three jewels. And it begins with a very beautiful simile. Now, in India, North India, there are only 3 main seasons. There is, it's called the rainy season, which usually lasts from July to October. Then there's the rainy season, which lasts from November December, January, till the end of February, beginning of March. Then in March there comes in the beginning of the hot season. March, April, May, and June, those are the 4 months of the hot season. And once the heat starts to come in the first month of the hot season in March, then suddenly there are these trees, big trees, with flowers on the top, with blossoms. Suddenly these trees start to bloom very quickly until within a few weeks these trees are covered with so many flowers, with so many varied colors. Yellow flowers, bright red flowers, orange flowers, blue flowers, purple flowers. And it makes such a beautiful, wonderful sight, just dazzling to the eyes. And so in this verse, the Dhamma taught by the Buddha is compared to this grove of trees with flowering tops in the first heat of the summer months. Because the Dhamma taught by the Buddha has so many different aspects. Each aspect has its own distinct color, its own distinct flavor, one might say. And those trees, that I left out an important thing, in the Indian hot season, the breeze blows and the flowers give off beautiful scents, beautiful fragrances. And when the wind blows in the late afternoon and early morning, it carries the mixed scents, fragrances of the flowers down to the ground, and it's almost intoxicating when the perfumes of all of these different flowers come floating down. And so all of these teachings of the Buddha, they have their own distinct, beautiful color, their own distinct fragrance. There's the qualities of virtue, of the precepts, have their own beauty, the way they give beauty to our moral life. They give us noble qualities of harmlessness, of generosity, of restraint, of compassionate action, of sobriety of mind. Then beyond this lies the beauty, the fragrance of the meditative states, of the different samadhis and jhanas and meditative attainments. Then beyond this lies the beautiful flowers and fragrances of wisdom. And so all of these flowers with the Dhamma, with their own distinct fragrances and colors, are all available in the Buddha's teachings. And the verse says that all of them lead to the supreme good, the ultimate goal, which is Nibbana. Complete liberation, complete freedom of the mind, complete purification. And here the Buddha is being praised as a jewel through the Dhamma that he teaches. So in this way, the verse, on the one hand, it's making the Buddha the jewel, but it is praising the Buddha through the Dhamma as a jewel. And so in a sense, it brings in two jewels at once, but ultimately it designates the Buddha as the precious jewel from which the blessings flow. Okay, then we now come to verse 13. Again, this one is devoted to the Buddha jewel. Varo varado Varo varanyu varado varaharo Anutaro dhamma varang adesai Idampi buddhe ratanang panitang Etena sacena suati hotu. Okay, here the translation given in the book is acceptable. The translation reads, "The excellent one, the knower of the excellent, the giver of the excellent, and bringer of excellence, has expounded the excellent doctrine. This precious jewel is in the Buddha. By this truth, may there be peace, safety, security." Okay, this verse develops, unfolds from the word vara, which means excellent or best. And it applies this word in different ways. First, the Buddha himself is called Varo, which means the excellent one. And then the Buddha is called the excellent one because he is endowed with many excellent qualities. Particularly, the excellent qualities of the Buddha are summed up in his complete purity from all defilements and even the subtle residues of defilements, and then his perfect wisdom and his great compassion. In those three qualities, perfect purity, perfect boundless wisdom, and great compassion, all the other qualities or virtues of the Buddha are comprised. Then the Buddha is said to be Varanyu, which means the knower of the excellent. So the Buddha is the knower of the excellent. This is according to the commentary, because he is the knower of Nibbana. He is the one who found the way to Nibbana during a period when the teaching, the way to liberation is not known in the world. The Buddha is the one who discovers the path without any teacher, without any guide, all by himself, entirely through the force of his own accumulated paramitas from previous lives, and through his own intelligence, his own effort and diligence in this life, he discovers the path to nirvana and then teaches that path to the world. Then because he teaches the path to the world, the commentary explains, he is the giver of the excellent. That is, because he gives the gift of the teaching. He brings the gift of the Dhamma, the way. This is the Dhamma in its entirety he teaches. So the Buddha discovers the entire Dhamma realm, all the different aspects of the Dhamma he discovers through his own call it omniscient wisdom, his all-embracing wisdom. And then the Buddha expounds the Dhamma in its fullest form possible. In many different aspects, the Buddha teaches according to the different inclinations, tendencies, aptitudes of the people to be instructed. But he gives out not only a doctrine, but along with the doctrine, he presents the practical means for the realization of the truth. And that is suggested by the expression, bringer of the excellent. This is Varaharo. So the commentary says, he is the bringer of the excellent because he brings knowledge of the path. That is, he teaches each one the path in accordance with their own capacity, and he teaches the full presentation of the path in all of its different aspects. Then the commentary to the Sutta Nipata gives another interesting interpretation of this verse, which reflects a somewhat later style of interpretation. And it relates this verse to the theme of the three vehicles. Okay, it says the Buddha is the excellent one because of his qualities. He's the knower of the excellent because he is the knower of Nibbana. Then it says he is the giver of the excellent because he provides those disposed to follow the way to Buddhahood with the means to that achievement. Excuse me, my voice is going away. Okay, he is the giver of the excellent because he gives those disposed to follow the way to Buddhahood the means to achieve that attainment. He is the bringer of the excellent because he gives those inclined to attain the state of Pacceka Buddhahood, that is the state of a solitary enlightened one. He gives the means to achieve that attainment. And when it says that he expounded the excellent doctrine, then that line implies that he gave those disposed to follow the way of the Savakas, he gives them, by teaching the doctrine, he gives them the way, the means to follow the way to that attainment. So the commentary here relates this verse to the theory or doctrine of the three vehicles, the three yanas. Okay, now we come to verse 14. Kinang Puranang Navang Nati Sambhavang Virata Chitta Ayati Ke Bhavasmin Te Kina Bija Avirul Hi Chanda Nibanti Dira Yatayang Padipo Idampi Sange Ratanang panitam etena sachena sawati hotu. Okay, we'll take the translation given as acceptable. With the old, extinct, with nothing new to be reproduced or no new origination, the mind detached from future birth or future existence, they have destroyed the seeds of new existence. Their desires do not spring up again. Those wise ones go out even as this lamp. This precious jewel is in the Sangha. By this truth, may there be peace. Okay, this verse praises the jewel of the Sangha again, and it does so by praising the arahats in terms of their attainment of what is called the Nibbana element without a residue remaining. Okay, first we'll take an explanation of the words of the verse. Okay, it says, Khinang Puranang. That means the old is destroyed. So what is destroyed here is all the old karma that has been accumulated through beginningless time that has not yet produced its results. In the case of ordinary people, or even noble ones who are not yet arhats, at the time of death, this karma will come up to the surface of the mind and manifest itself in the form of a new existence. That karma is still active, still functioning. But in the case of the arahants, that old karma is now extinct. Khinang Puranang. It's no longer functional. Navang nati sambhavang. There is no origination of a new existence. No more coming back into new birth. Take kina bija. This just repeats the idea. They have destroyed the seeds. We could take this to be the seeds of old karma, or the seeds of ignorance and defilements, which might propel the consciousness forward into some new realm of existence, to start a new life, a new round of birth, old age, sickness, and death. Avirul hi chanda. There's no more springing up of any more craving or desire. Di banti dira yatayang padipo. Here, dira are the wise ones, these are the arhats. And nibanti means to go out. The going out of a lamp is said when it goes out, it's said nibati. And the word nibbana or nirvana means exactly the going out of a lamp, the going out of a fire. So the verb nibanti, go out, to become extinguished, that is the verb from which the noun nibbana or nirvana comes. It's the going out of the flames of ignorance and craving, the going out of the process, the beginningless process of becoming. And it's said that just as the Buddha was speaking this, there was a lamp in front of him, and just as he was speaking this verse, that lamp went out, and so he just drew upon that lamp for the simile. And so now when this sutta is recited in religious ceremonies, they put out a bowl of water and they keep a candle burning in front. And then when they come to this verse, the monk who's leading the chanting picks up the candle and douses it in the bowl of water. Okay, so the going out of the flame of the lamp, that is the meaning of Nibbana. Okay, so that brings me now to the two elements of Nibbana. We speak about Nibbana as taking place in two stages. One stage is called the Nibbana element with residue remaining. The other is the Nibbana element without residue remaining. In the Nibbana element with residue remaining, that is the Nibbana attained when ignorance and defilements are extinguished. That's the Nibbana attained by the Buddha, by the Arhats, while alive. Ignorance is gone, defilements are gone, but body and mind, the five aggregates, still continue to function. They experience all the sense objects, the senses are functioning, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, thinking. They act, speak, think, all the activities can take place. But there's no more activation of any defilements, no more creation of any new karma. And so the process of the five aggregates goes on to the moment that we conventionally call death. But for the Buddha, for an Arhat, this is not experienced as death. Of course, for death to really be experienced, there has to be somebody inside who dies. For them, there's no longer anybody inside who is dying. It's just the stopping of an empty process. Then, with that stopping of it, that process, the ending of the process, then there's no more renewal of samsaric existence. And that is the Nibbana element with no residue remaining. There's no more reproduction of the five aggregates of existence. It's now come to an end fully, without springing up again in any way, anywhere. Okay, so with this verse, the Buddha now is praising the Sangha in terms of those Arhants who attain the Nibbana element without residue. And at this point, the Buddha, according to the commentarial account, the Buddha has ended his recitation of the verses of the Ratana Sutta. But then, if you remember the story of how the sutta originated, I'll just review it. The sutta originated when the city of Vaisali, a very important, prosperous city in central India, or in northern India, had been attacked by a plague, by famine, and by evil spirits. And so the people of Vaisali had heard about the Buddha. They sent messengers to him and requested him to come to their city in order to extend his blessings to them and to help them recover from this terrible calamity. And so the Buddha came with 500 monks, and they all assembled in the central hall of Vesali. And the Buddha recited these verses as a way of blessing the people of Vesali and driving the evil spirits away. And when the Buddha went to the central hall, then all of the devas, the celestial beings from the heavenly worlds, knew that a great event was going to take place. And so they all descended from the heavens, they all came to Vesali, and they were all hovering in the air, surrounding the central hall of Vesali, all witnessing the Buddha and the Sangha assembled there reciting these verses. And the devas were presided over by Sakka. Sakka was the king of the devas, the lord of the devas. And so when the Buddha finished reciting these verses, then Sakka, the king of the devas, thought to himself, now the Buddha, who is the king of the Dhamma, the leader in the spiritual domain, he has given his blessings to the people of Vesali. And now Sakka thought, I am the king of the heavenly realms. I should also give my blessings to the people of Vesali. And there's no higher source of blessings than the triple gem. And so I will give my blessings, also praising the qualities of the triple gem. And so Sakka then recited these last three verses. And so first he calls upon all of the beings who assembled there, and he says, Yani tabutani samagatani Bhumani vayani vantalike